Playlist Push is probably the most widely used and widely talked about playlist submission service out there. And if you've ever been curious about it and read any reviews about it in the past, you've probably come across some mixed opinions, to say the least. Now, the reality is that Playlist Push is not a magic pill that's going to make you a superstar, but it is a very effective tool that can be used as a part of a well-rounded approach to promoting your music. But just like any tool, you need to know how to use it and how to use it right in order for it to work right. So in this video, I'm going to explain why most independent artists don't get very good results from Playlist Push, why labels are able to consistently get millions of streams using Playlist Push, and how you can use Playlist Push the way that a record label would, how to use Playlist Push the correct way to actually get a lot of exposure and a lot of streams and avoid feeling like you just threw your money down the toilet. So let's go ahead and get started. What's up guys, Justin here, and in this video I'm going to explain how to use Playlist Push like a record label so you can actually get millions of streams and you aren't just wasting your money. Now, if you've ever used Playlist Push in the past and you haven't gotten very good results, hold on for a second, stop typing that angry comment in the comment section about how this is all BS, and pay attention because this video is for you as much as anybody. For those of you that aren't familiar with Playlist Push, it's a playlist submission service, which means they have a database of Spotify playlist curators that curate popular listener playlists. Now, these are playlists with a minimum of 1,000 followers, but oftentimes they have way more. At this time, according to their website, Playlist Push is working with about 1,000 playlist curators that have a combined reach of over 23 million listeners. Now, Playlist Push is not one of those bogus sites that claims that you're going to get X number of streams for X amount of money. They don't guarantee any specific results, and they aren't guaranteeing playlist placement. But you can expect that any streams you get are going to be legit streams from real listeners. Now, the way it works is you upload your song and some basic information about the track, and then you submit it for review. The minimum budget for a Spotify playlist submission campaign is $300, and that's the minimum, so you could easily spend a lot more than that. But after you submitted your track, you should hear back from Playlist Push within 24 hours, and once your submission is approved, you can then set up your campaign. You'll specify the genres of playlists that you want to submit to, some artists that are similar to you, and then you'll also set your budget. Now, the more you spend, the more playlists your music gets submitted to. Then what Playlist Push does, and again, this is not guaranteed placement, they simply submit your music to playlist curators, and those curators determine if your music is a good fit for their playlist or not. So just because you paid to have your music submitted to 50 or 100 playlists doesn't mean that all of those playlists are going to add your music. Now, over the course of the next 2 weeks after your campaign's live, you should start to see your music being added to playlists of various sizes. The minimum is going to be 1,000 followers, but you might get lucky and get your music added to a playlist with hundreds of thousands of followers. But your budget is going to be a factor here. Now, I'll come back to that in just a minute. First, I want to explain why a label can really get good results consistently with Playlist Push, while a lot of independent artists struggle and just get mediocre results. And the reason might actually surprise you. It's probably not what you're thinking. And a big part of it is that they don't use Playlist Push for every track. Labels don't put money into promoting everything. They're very selective. Now, a friend of mine runs a small label, and he says that he can pretty consistently expect to get about 1 million streams running a Playlist Push campaign with about a $4,000 or $5,000 budget. And having that kind of a budget certainly is a factor, but it's not the only factor. So don't run out and throw $5,000 at a Playlist Push campaign and then get mad at me if you don't get at least 1 million streams. And then don't think that just because you hear a $5,000 campaign got 1 million streams, that you can extrapolate that into 10% of the budget and get 10% of the streams. In other words, you can't expect that you'll be able to spend $500 to get 100,000 streams. Now, that's not outside the realm of possibility. I have known artists that have gotten around 100,000 streams from campaigns with budgets of around $700 to $800. But you have to know how to approach your promotion the right way. Simply uploading your music to Playlist Push and setting your target genres and setting your budget is not going to work on its own. Remember, Playlist Push is a tool, and you need to know how to use that tool properly. So now I'm going to explain why a small label can consistently generate 1 million or more streams from a Playlist Push campaign, while most independent artists are going to struggle to get the results they're after. And I'm going to explain exactly how you can use Playlist Push to get good results, even if you only have a few $100 to put into your promotion. So the first thing that's going to help you promote your music like a label is to remove emotion from the equation. And don't worry, I'm gonna actually give you some real practical step-by-step stuff here in just a moment. This isn't all like you have to have the right mentality, positive state of mind stuff. But this is important because one thing that does make it a lot easier for labels to get better results than independent artists a lot of times is simply not being emotionally attached to a specific song. Like, you as an artist might have a song that you just really love and you really want it to be a big hit, but a label can be a lot more objective. For example, an artist might have 5 or 10 tracks that they submit to their label, and then the label will go test those tracks to figure out which ones the fans like best, and then put money behind promoting that track once they know that this track is probably going to work really well. A big mistake that a lot of independent artists make is thinking that their favorite song is going to be their fans' favorite song too, and that they just need to promote that song and everything will just work out. But in reality, that's not always the case. And with Playlist Push especially, you have to keep in mind that the money you're spending on a campaign is just to get your foot in the door. You're paying to have Playlist Push submit your music to curators, but those curators actually have to like the track and think it's a good fit for their playlist. So if you test your tracks out first and figure out which ones people are likely to enjoy, and then put money into promoting that track using Playlist Push, then you're going to be a lot more likely to have curators pick up your track, put it on their playlist because it's a good fit. They might even put it up close to the top of their playlist where it's going to get more listeners and more streams. And then some of those listeners are really going to like it. So they'll go to your artist profile, follow you, save your music, and share it with their friends. So that's one of the keys to success with Playlist Push and why labels can often get much better results than independent artists. You as an artist might put a bunch of time and money behind promoting a song just because you like it, but a label is not going to put a bunch of money and time into promoting a song unless they already think that it's going to get a good response and ultimately make them money. So how do you test your music first to figure out which track you should promote? Well, a good place to start would be SubmitHub. You can go to submithub.com and use the Hot or Not feature. Submit your music to find out how other people like it. Remember, you're going to want to submit multiple tracks here so you can figure out which one people like best. Now, the Hot or Not feature also allows you to earn premium credits that you can then use to submit your music to bloggers and playlist curators. You can also purchase premium credits as well. And once you found a track that does work well in Hot or Not, you can then go submit it to playlist curators and bloggers on SubmitHub to see if you can get some traction there first before you go to Playlist Push. SubmitHub is a very inexpensive alternative to Playlist Push, but it requires a bit more legwork because you actually have to submit the music yourself. Now, they do have a free tier, but the premium credits aren't terribly expensive, and those premium credits will help you get faster responses. This way, you can figure out if playlist curators are going to respond well to your music before you go invest in a Playlist Push campaign, which requires a minimum budget of $300 and could easily be much more expensive if you're ready to invest the money. Now, once you're ready to promote your music on Playlist Push, you can use the code EYR5F9Y to get 7.5% off your first campaign. Now, it's not a bad discount if you spend some real money on your promotion. If you were to spend $1,000 on a campaign, for example, that promo code would save you $75. $2,000, $150, and so on. But again, you got to make sure that you've tested your tracks and that you're reasonably confident that your music is going to be well received by curators and listeners before you dump a bunch of money into a Playlist Push campaign. And earlier I mentioned that your budget is going to be a factor. Now, the more you spend, the more likely that you are to get good results because the more you spend, the more playlists your music is submitted to. When you spend more money, you're casting a wider net, which increases your chances of getting picked up by a huge playlist with hundreds of thousands of followers. And it increases your odds of getting your music in front of a curator that really likes your music and puts it at the top of their playlist. So Playlist Push can be a very effective tool for promoting your music if you know how to use it and you use it correctly. But you have to remove your emotion from the equation and think like a record label. Don't put all of your time and money behind promoting a song just because you like it, and you certainly don't want to put a ton of effort and money into promoting every single track that you create. You have to be selective and have to choose wisely. A simple way to do this is to put your music on Hot or Not over at SubmitHub. Find the track or tracks that do well, then submit those to bloggers and playlist curators on SubmitHub first. Not too long ago, I actually hosted a live training session with SubmitHub founder Jason Grishkoff, where he very generously spent about an hour and a half taking a deep dive into SubmitHub and how to get the best results. Now, that recording is 100% free to watch here on YouTube. I highly recommend that you go check that out. I can assure you that you're going to get a lot of valuable insights that will make it well worth your time. Now, I broke that recording down into 4 parts to make it a little bit easier to digest, and I trimmed off some of the fat so you can get through it a bit faster. But don't worry, all of the most important parts, all the most important insights are still there. Now, you'll definitely want to check that out. I'll share a link in the video description below. But again, the point of all this is that you need to go test your tracks before you put a bunch of money into your promotion. Once you see that people are enjoying your music, maybe some bloggers or playlist curators have picked it up on SubmitHub, then you can go invest in a playlist push campaign and really throw some fuel on the fire. All right, so that wraps it up for this video. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you did, please let me know in the comment section below. Give it a thumbs up. Please don't hesitate to share this with any other artists or producers that you think are gonna find it helpful. And if you're not subscribed to this channel already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. It's free to do and it helps me make videos like this one. And don't forget to tick that bell icon to be notified as soon as new videos are released on the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.